Hutson Mason of the Sports X joining me on Tackler Media's YouTube page today. Hudson, we just found out earlier this week that JT Daniels, the Georgia quarterback transfer from USC, will get immediate eligibility if there is indeed college football this season. What does that mean for Georgia's quarterback competition, if anything at all, assuming that Jamie Newman was going to start in 2020?
Yeah, what's it mean for the fall for the Dogs? I don't know. I still think Jamie Newman's the guy to beat out. I still think it's his job. It's not a wide margin by any means. I mean, not having a spring football hurts. Not having a limited summer hurts. Georgia's not in an ideal situation with their offense heading into this fall, whatever this fall looks like. A new coordinator and two new quarterbacks. So, I heard somebody on our show today kind of make the correlation to 2018 with Jake Fromm and Justin Fields, right? You've got one pro-style quarterback and JT Daniels, a little bit more Newman, and maybe Kirby learned from that botched of an opportunity to use both quarterbacks. And has he learned from it? Will he be able to use these two guys and their skill sets better? I don't know. I don't know how you would know or how you would be able to gauge or have a jump on anything of what Georgia's offense is really going to look like come week one, no matter who the week one opponent is. So I think Wes, Georgia fans are going to have to be maybe content early on with winning a game by an ugly fashion. If Virginia happens in week one with very limited offseason reps, I think Georgia fans need to become content with the idea of this offense isn't going to be clicking on all cylinders. And if you beat Virginia by 6 points and it's an ugly win, that's just what you're going to have to deal with early on until this offense can start to foundation and get familiar with each other.
If Georgia does take the field and get to play Virginia or have success against teams in the SEC, the defense is every reason why that will happen, I believe, because of everyone that comes back. But say JT Daniels does end up winning this job, and it's not because of an injury. Look at what he was able to do as a true freshman at USC. He was technically a high school senior by his age at that time. So what encourages you about his game for Georgia as he does get this eligibility?
Well, if you just look at the raw talent and pure talent, I mean, this was a kid in 2017 in JT Daniels that was the number 2 rated quarterback in the 2017 class, only behind Trevor Lawrence. And so, I mean, this is a former 5-star kid. How many former 5-star quarterbacks has Georgia had? Now, the past recent years they have, John Fields, Jacob B was a 4-5-star, but neither of those guys really worked out at Georgia. So this is a kid who will be coming in just pure talent. He's as good as they get. And it's funny, you talk to some of the rivals and scouts guys in that class, they had Trevor Lawrence right here, and JT Daniels was right behind Trevor Lawrence. So he's kind of universally looked at as at least coming out of high school. Now, all that was pre the ACL tear. How does a quarterback bounce back after a leg injury? That's the $1 million question. But I do think that, his skill set in what offense he was playing at USC, under Graham Harrell, which is the air raid offense. Graham Harrell played for Mike Leach at Texas Tech, and this is an offense that's built on RPOs and throwing the ball a lot. It is a little more conducive and a little bit more familiar to what Todd Monken did at Oklahoma State the last time he was in college in 2011 and 2012. Todd Monken is that same tree as Mike Leach, the air raid offense. So, not that I believe that Georgia's all of a sudden going to look like Texas Tech and Washington State throwing the ball 60 times a game, but there is. I see why they went and specifically tried to target this kid, JT, to fit and be compatible to what maybe that system and what Todd Monken will like to do schematically.
Many of Georgia's rivals, non-Georgia fans, looking at JT Daniels' immediate eligibility and kind of scoffing at the fact that nowadays quarterbacks get immediate eligibility. The funny thing for me is if you're an Ohio State fan, you don't really have much to say when Justin Fields benefited from the same thing. On the flip side of that coin, look at Luke Ford. being held captive at Illinois. So I think there is a point there to be made, but I don't know, really why we're getting so hung up on this when time and time again now the NCAA has shown us if you're a quarterback, essentially you're going to get immediate eligibility.
Yeah, and look at the Cade Mays incident, where the kid who transferred from Georgia and is now at Tennessee. He put in his letter January 8th and announced that he was leaving Georgia to transfer to Tennessee January 8th, and still to this day, he hasn't gotten any feedback from the NCAA about immediate eligibility. And JT put in his letter for transferring in May and got an answer much quicker. Why? I have no idea. Is it because he plays the quarterback position as opposed to some other non-glorious position? I don't know. Did he find a loophole? Does Georgia – or do they know how to find loopholes better than other schools? I don't know. Maybe he has a better lawyer. I have no idea, but there's no doubt hundreds of examples around the college football landscape and pick and choose and go, well, why does this guy get immediate eligibility and this guy doesn't? It doesn't make any sense. And I think that's why you heard or you read JT in his announcement yesterday on Twitter. He specifically stated, I'm not answering any questions about it. I'm not talking about it. I think there's something there. Will we ever know how Georgia got immediate eligibility, or is that public knowledge? I don't know. Maybe it will be a couple weeks down the road or months, but I thought it was interesting that he was like, look, I'm not talking about this.
You've been in a quarterback room before, obviously, at Georgia, and competition has been an issue with you before, as every quarterback has. But nowadays, the way that Kirby runs the quarterback room specifically, if you're Jamie Newman, how do you feel about JT Daniels all of a sudden getting this immediate eligibility and Kirby Smart really enjoying it? Because we all know that he loves a competitive quarterback room that looks more like a linebacker room or a running back room. He doesn't care what quarterbacks have to think about their territory. So if you're Jamie Newman, seeing JT Daniels on the block right now, are you a little annoyed, or knowing what we know about Newman and his ability to come in and compete, do you think it'll fuel him?
If I'm Jamie Newman, I don't think this agitates me as much as if I'm a younger guy, a Dwan Mathis, a Carson Beck, those type of guys, because whether JT becomes a starter this year or not, he still has 3 more years or 2 more years. So that move can be looked at as a little bit more of planning for the future, as opposed to Jamie Newman, who's going to be here in a blink of an eye. In 6 months, he'll be gone. So I think if you're some of these guys that are freshmen and sophomore, as I mentioned those names a moment ago, those are the guys that I kind of, you would probably look at and go, okay, I could be frustrated. I could see why maybe I don't want to say he felt lied to, because I don't know what Kirby told them in recruiting. But it does look like Kirby is kind of using the same approach in recruiting the quarterback position, which is just get as much talent in one room as you can and let them duke it out and compete it and may the best man win. He's done that at every other position. And you may say, well, why shouldn't he do that at the quarterback position? Well, because only one quarterback plays at a time. And usually, you space it out, every other year at least. Maybe it makes your program a little more attractive to the high school 5-stars, where they look at your depth chart and go, okay, I can bide my time and wait a year or two, and then I can see where I could be the guy. But we live in a college football landscape now where, with Oklahoma and their success of getting guys through the portal, I think Kirby is just like, I'm going to load up like every other position if I recruit, and guys are going to transfer. May the best man win. And I don't think guys will transfer this year, Wes, but I do think next year, that's when you'll start maybe to see mass exodus at the quarterback room for whoever doesn't, win the job either in the spring or the summer.
Yeah, regardless of what happens, this is a pretty different looking dude in the quarterback room, with this get up right here, and the mustache, the eyebrows. Like, I don't even know. I've never seen any Georgia quarterback that has a headshot quite like this one, Hutson. It's unique.
Well, It is unique. It's not your traditional Southern, Costa frat swoop kid that looks like he just came out of the AGR frat house, right? I mean, this kid right here looks like, he drives an ice cream truck. He is the epitome of like what you want to you tell your kids to stay away from. And he's kind of got that like Gardner Minshew-esque feel to him, like, is this a shtick? Is this really who he is? Clearly not. If that was my kid, I wouldn't let him leave the house looking like that. But, is this genuine? Is this really who he is? We'll see. Because I feel like with Gardner Minshew, he got some notoriety and the mustache was funny early on, and then the shtick just blew up. And I'm not a big shtick guy. Like, I'm all for genuineness. If that's who you are, then that's fine. But I don't know if that's really who Gardner Minshew is.
It's definitely some Minshew vibes. You're right, man. I saw one of the CBS writers said that he looks like he is about to tie a damsel up to a railroad track. Just kind of looks like a villain. I don't know. We'll see, dude. Yeah. Regardless, I just hope we get to see him play. Hope we get to see somebody throw the football for Georgia. Today on July 14th, it's not any clearer than it was last week. And I don't know. I feel like they have to make a decision by August 1st. If there is a deadline to this thing, I don't know. But it's very murky today, Hutson. I appreciate your time, dude.
Yeah, no problem. It is. And I'm with you, man. I hope we get college football season. All fingers are crossed. And time's running out, so we'll know here shortly.
Yeah. All right. We'll follow Hutson on Twitter, Hutson Mason, and follow along at the Sports X if you're in Atlanta. Listen at 106.3, the Cheap Seats with Tug Cowery. Also on the podcast with Mark Zinno. You can hear Hutson all over the place. Give him a listen. Appreciate it, dude. Catch you next time.